Wow. I tend to care a little bit less every single day. Interestingly enough, one of the main things that would get me to care at all is being treated as an afterthought. That's how it goes, I guess. Welcome to yet another edition of the Monday Night Raw Popcast, exclusively here on the Popcast Network. My name is Owen. This is Ashley.
How do you do?
Ashley is uber preoccupied with E3 right now, as you can tell with the content on this network.
Yeah, the idea is I do this, I go to sleep / pass out, and then I've got to film the PC stuff, the Ubisoft stuff, and the Sony stuff in and around the Nintendo stuff. So I think just for pacing, there's probably going to be 2 videos. Yeah, I'll send them over to Owen anyway, but I might. Yeah, I'm doing this on air. This is great. Put up 2 videos tomorrow, Owen, and then the final 2 on the Wednesday.
I mean, I do have one going up tomorrow. I mean, I'm just doing them every day, so everybody gets a gaming video every day.
Okay.
Bethesda will go up at midnight, so about 45 minutes from this moment.
Right, so wow, so that means everybody's not going to find out until Saturday about Monday. Wow.
Toe and rolls. The regular EA
Yes.
thoughts went up on the 11th.
Yeah,
and
that makes
then
sense.
Microsoft went up today, and Bethesda's going up tomorrow.
I'll probably shoot them over anyway just to get it done. Oh.
And for that, even though we're getting ahead of ourselves, AJ's new movie review will be coming at you next week, and I can confirm it because AJ's actually going on a little vacation because of his dad's birthday. So he's going to be giving us a review of It Comes at Night. So that's going to be coming your way.
Ooh,
on Saturday.
That's an interesting one from what I've heard.
Yep.
Perhaps not in a good way, perhaps in a bad way, perhaps neither. I don't know.
We'll see. So, welcome to Raw. I'll shoot you guys. If you haven't noticed lately, I've been working a lot of early shifts. It's taking a bit to get used to, which is hilarious because once I'm finally almost used to it, next week they throw me a curveball and give me 11 a.m. shifts. So I will not see I will not see the pre-show for Money in the Bank. I'll probably be home. I'll probably miss the first match.
Well, considering how that card looks right now, I wouldn't say that's a hugely negative thing.
Not really.
Except it's probably going to be bloody Fandango and Breeze versus the Colons, which is what I mean, it looks like it could be that. Doesn't have to be, but.
So, main event spoilers taped tonight in front of one of the deadest crowds I've heard in a long time, unless it's Sasha Banks for some reason. Curtis Axel defeated Kurt Hawkins and Arya Daivari over Grand Metalik.
Oh.
So that's a bit different. They actually did have a match, even though it was on main event, that went more than 5 minutes when putting up the 205 live ropes.
Wow. Pleasantly surprising.
So, let's get to this.
So we opened Raw with the one bit that I did actually properly see in person, which was the Unleashing the Beast, which was really anything but. It was more like, He's here. He'll have a fight for a couple of minutes, and then you'll never see him again. But Heyman did what he always did, always does. It's not past tense, it's also present. And that's got a great promo saying, tonight is Joe's day of reckoning. And he showed Joe respect last week. Respect that he thought Joe deserved, but Joe lured him in and took him out. And, he did see a whole load of stuff when he was passing out. But the thing is, he's kicked down the front door of the beast. So now Brock's got a problem with Joe. And of course, Brock will solve that problem. So basically, think of how many Samoans have been in this business so far. All have been proud of each accomplishments, except for Joe. He's just a punk, a dog. That's the greatest accomplishment was putting the clutch on him. It was damn painful. But when he woke up, the first thing he thought about was what happens if he gets put on Lesnar. Then he's like, well, he doesn't have the capability to put it on him. Cue Joe's music. They stare down. They get into a fight. Officials and security guards come out and are pussies because they just get destroyed with them in about 4 seconds. And then the actual locker room has to come out and make the save. Oh, good, but can we stop doing the locker room thing? Because I think that's 3 times you've now used it in the past 6 months. In some shape or form.
Well, yeah, I mean, I will give them credit, though. With something the magnitude of Brock and Joe, this actually makes sense.
Yeah, certainly.
Even though they've used it to death. But yes, this time it makes sense.
So it's time to talk with Samson. And Walk, actually. Basically said, Louisiana's a US laughingstock. And every time he faces Ambrose, he ends up as a pile of flesh. So they had a match which surprisingly went over 10 minutes.
I actually really liked the match.
Yeah, from what I've heard on the social medias, it wasn't too bad actually.
I mean, I know I take a lot of flack for this. I've liked Elias Sampson since day one. And they're actually doing something with him.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good match for what it was. I really enjoyed the way to start off the show. Ambrose with a really awesome perfect plex for a near fall. Running forearm into the Bulldog, he gets cut off, and he ends up hitting the Tope Suicida. Both men are down on the outside. They roll back in at 4. Ambrose up top, and Samson goes for the superplex. Ambrose headbutts him off. And here comes the Miz for a distraction. So this allows a roll up, but he kicks out. And it would have been funny if he would have rolled him up right here because it was a clean roll up. He didn't hook tights or anything. He just literally stacked him up. So he throws him to the ropes awkwardly, and Ambrose hits the Nigel. And then Ambrose goes after the Miz. Miz grabs Maurice for the human shield again, but of course, Dean finally gets a hold of him, sends Miz into the barricade, and then at this point, Maurice is there for the distraction. Referee's about to count 9. Ambrose breaks the count. Samson leaps up, hits a knee drop to the back of the neck, and it hits the crossroads and gets the win. I like this. This was good. And if this is going to be where we go, that's fine. Ambrose is still really stale to me, especially right now. So having him work with someone like Samson's going to freshen him up a little bit.
Let's see how it goes.
Considering the fact that this is a character that has a guitar that's not using it to El Kabong someone.
Slap nuts. Oh, still can't forget Beetlejuice getting murdered by Jeff Jarrett.
I'd rather watch that right now. Actually, we're going to make that happen. So continue.
Time for Goldust to tell us to keep your friends close and your enemies even closer. Godfather Part 2. Apparently they were friends and brothers, but Truth got scared. He never understood him, really. But ignorance can be beautiful. And Truth had better buckle up, buckaroo, because he ain't seen nothing yet. Because the golden age has returned for the third straight week. So then Kurt's pissed at Miz for interfering and punishes him. And of course, Miz is like, he should be punished for helping me destroy the clock. And Angle doesn't want to punish Ambrose at all. So that's what Miz gets, apparently. So then we've got Noam Dar apparently talking to Alicia on FaceTime.
This was stupid.
And Cedric comes in and says, look, I've had enough of you. I'm not interested. This will be the last time we face each other. The match happens. It's so much so that I can probably describe it. By the way, I've taken so long that the match is already finished. Because basically it's over in 8 seconds.
Yep.
Just a roll up. Well, just a roll. Well, it wasn't really a roll up. Straight after the lumbar. It was basically ding, ding, ding. Couple of seconds, lumbar check. 1, 2, 3.
Yep. And to make it worse, the whole time during the match, you hear Alicia Fox in the background. Of course, this FaceTime call just happens to be over the speakers so everyone can hear it. And she's talking constantly while this is going on. There was a Coliseum video back in the day that mic'd the manager and during a match. And they did one with Sherry Martel. I know that's what they were going for, but straight up, massive fail. Not only does no one care about this angle anymore, no one cares about anybody involved in this angle.
Ooh, nobody gives a shit.
Yep.
Next week, Roman Reigns will be talking about SummerSlam. Spoilers, he isn't on this week's show. Go fuck a duck.
He is in the dark match right now against Bray Wyatt, currently in the ring right at this as we speak.
Funny you mention that, because of course, here comes Bray. Actually, he does a promo first saying that humanity is guilty of mistaking intelligence for knowledge. You know, the world is collapsing under the weight of its own sin. I'm hot on the streets, but it's got nothing to do with the anger of the sun. I'm the only one that can save you all. I'm here. And then continues on when he's back to the ring. Says, all those that deny me will be judged, and those who sit in apathy will pay for their guilt. And Wyatt claimed that Rollins, he's got all the answers, but he lives in a glass house. But only took one dose of his truth and that glass house came crashing down. Now the shards of glass are going to be picked out of his soul for eternity because of the judgment. And it's painted a very, very bad picture of a law that you'll all have to face to live by. And what will everybody take in the name? Because if the other one's over, then you have to take his name in vain. And that is the ultimate fail. They're pretty sensible, really. Sensible promo from him. But then Seth came out and said, look, why would you cost me a match against Joe? Was it actually just because I called you a few childish names or whatever? When I said to you I want to be martyr in a false prophecy, I didn't mean blasphemy to you, Bray. It was the truth. Sometimes people drink too much of the Kool-Aid. White may want to operate in the shadows and step out from the darkness. But if Death doesn't win, he'll betray him. Wyatt laughed away at everything. At a man beneath him, apparently. And he says, no, this man is streaming. He's streaming arrogance. So I'm guessing Seth versus some sort of combination of the angle there in terms of localization, practically.
It's possible.
And then Wyatt says, you may have found a way to slay a king, but a god lives forever. Face your fears and run. And then, of course, the Hardys show up with Cesaro and Sheamus, and it's like, you're going to become champions. They're going to become tag team champions. And all that. And then Charlie interviewed the Hardys, saying that they're ready for action. And then the random one, Apollo Crews versus Kalisto. The reason why I say it's random, they only gave it 2 minutes.
Yep. So we had Akira Tozawa sitting in the front row.
Guest of Titus, I believe, wasn't he?
Yep. So this whole thing about teaming them up with Titus managing them that we called weeks ago, it's slowly building to it.
Slowly and surely wins the race. No, it doesn't.
So Kalisto gets a shot, looking very much like a miniature version of Ultimo Dragon.
Not Ultimo Guerrera.
Not in this case. I'm just judging by the color of the gear, especially being the WCW guy here.
Does that mean Kalisto's car getting trashed?
Maybe.
Nice.
It's a very possible thing. So high kick, springboard, hits the Rana. Then he hits the ground and snap Rana, driving him headfirst into the canvas. Ties with a quick distraction. Apollo gets a quick roll up for a near fall, and Kalisto hits the ropes, gets the cruise missile, and pinned. And then for some reason, Titus celebrates in the ring with a very awkward-looking Tozawa, and they take a selfie. Okay. Miz is talking to Heath Slater in the back. So basically, once upon a time, Heath Slater was the tag team champion on SmackDown. Then they came to Raw, and then Kurt Angle was the reason they're not relevant anymore. So he invites Heath to join the entourage. Reiner's like, he's already got a partner, as he sucks down cheese crackers. And I don't mean good cheese crackers. Obviously, everyone knows that the greatest thing in the world are orange crackers, orange cheese crackers with peanut butter inside. Oh no, this is literally a plate of saltines with cheese whiz on top of it. Disgusting. Oh my God, so disgusting. Miz is like, I could make you a star, but all you have to ask. He talks about his role in the movie, and he's like, I did it before. And he's like, before I had kids, I was a kid. Okay, who wrote that line? And the only thing I wanted to do was become Intercontinental Champion. And Miz is like, okay, how about you join me and I'll make sure you get a title shot down the line someday. Reiner's like, he's already got a partner. And you know what? You've made me mad. So you need to find a partner because I'm going to go to Kurt Angle and we're going to get ourselves a tag match later tonight. My sentiments exactly, sir. Here comes Alexa because life is good. She says, I have no obligation tonight. My celebration was ruined. I don't have to defend any championship. Talks about the first ever women's Money in the Bank match, which, by the way, let me in a caveat that I'm sure you're probably going to agree with me on, Ashley. They're really ruining the first women's Money in the Bank by putting it on the SmackDown brand. Way too many X factors in that match that are going to make it bad. And I believe Ashley has now gone the way of Owen most nights on Raw now. Yep, correct. So anybody that's in chat, yep, there he is. So anybody that's in chat with me right now, if you guys want to carry on the rest of the show and ask questions, feel free to, because Ashley is now asleep. So let's do this. So basically, this brings out Nia Jax because this has to be a thing for some reason. She's like, I deserve this opportunity, Alexa. Your celebration was ruined. You promised me you get your shot. Nia gets face to face with Alexa. Alexa's like, no, wait a minute. I wasn't forced. I was thrilled to give you an opportunity. I was thrilled to give you a match for the ages, a classic, one of the best matches ever. And that was stolen by someone like Mickie James and Dana Brooke. And here they come to the ring because for some reasons, Mickie, don't be a hero, be a star, calls Alexa a dwarf. Talks about her 6 women's championships, wearing kind of like a. Honestly, if Leva Bates cosplayed Tatanka, is the first thing that comes to mind with that gear. I woke you up on that one.
Jeez.
Good. My job is done. You got a long way to go before you're on my level, little girl. Calls her Little Miss Bliss, which is hilarious. Calling her Miss Bliss is even more hilarious given the fact that I'm a Saved by the Bell guy. So, it was, I remember correctly, it was you, Alexa, that said it was unfair Nia was getting a shot in the first place. Dana's like, Mickey's right, because she's a yes woman, that's all she is at this point. And says, we have a Nia Jax problem. It's like, no, you have a Nia Jax problem. Alexa's like, calm yourselves. We're throwing a lot of accusations around here, and you need to consider the sources. Dana, she's a disgruntled worker. And Mickie, you know what? Her spotlight's fading by the second. They're going to do anything for attention. Here comes Evil Emma. All right. She says, drop the spotlight where it belongs. She's ready to take her place at the top of the division. Alexa's like, you know what? This is real cute. And then goes go back to talking to Nia and basically says, you're trying to ruin my spotlight and you're trying to ruin my.
I do find that odd that Emma comes back and of course she gets a face reaction.
Yeah.
She's come back from injury. And yet they insert her in as a heel because reasons.
I'm just still agitated that they didn't bring Summer Rae on this show because it sounds like she's ready to come back at any time. They just need a storyline for her. Put her with the fashion police. Please. Or if you want to put her on Raw, make her the new Marlena for Goldust.
Probably, yeah.
That's a hell of an idea. But I'd rather have her with Fandango and Bree, so I could have all my favorites in the same group. Here comes Sasha Banks, and she gets the biggest pop of the night. I swear to you, I don't think anybody get a better reaction than Sasha did tonight. Seriously.
Trying to think whether there's a connection there, but I don't think that she won the title. Did she win the title in Louisiana?
I highly doubt it.
Year before?
I mean, I could
Can't
look
even
into
remember.
it. I mean,
Can't even remember. Well, I'm dozing in out of consciousness, so just want to get it over and done with.
yeah.
The pain.
Yes, absolutely. I like that idea. So this, of course, leads to a commercial because apparently Teddy Long somehow has returned off camera, and we're having ourselves another tag match.
Hold on, player. Kurt Angle's turning black.
Yeah, this is interesting. We get to the finish here because there's no reason to talk about anything else. Sasha goes to the bank statement. Emma with a high elbow goes to tag Alexa. She pulls a Sid Vicious and drops off the ring apron. He's like, "I'm done. Forget you women." The next thing you know, Nia comes in to stop the pin on Emma. Mickey goes to kick Nia, and then they go to the outside. Mickey hits a Fez press from the top. Emma tries to roll her up for a near fall. Sasha reverses, and bank statement locked on, and that's the end of that. Sasha goes over. Kind of surprised they didn't put Nia Jax over here. But oh well. We move on to our next segment. Corey Graves sitting down with Miss Irrelevant, unfortunately, Bailey. See, Ashley agrees. And
Yeah.
he says, "You know what? I had my doubts whether you could take it to the extreme." But Bailey was like, I knew that I could, but something happened. The match was designed to inflict pain. I'd never been in that situation before. They're talking to the girl who straight up guillotine choked out Nia Jax at the NXT TakeOver without any remorse. They're completely glossing over this fact. She's not here to bruise people or send people to the hospital. Once again, from a storyline perspective, why are you in the wrestling business? She's here to put smiles on people's faces. I hate to steal from Brian every single week, but I have to give credit where credit is due. Bailey comes off like a total geek here. There's almost no way to rehab her at this point. She says, I'm not going to beat anybody with hugs, even though the Bailey to Belly was originally called the Hugplex, but that's another story. She's not going to be anything she's not. She's just her, 100%. Everything she gives, it's all her. She's not going to change for anyone or for any match. She's going to do what's best for her and the best version of herself. And Corey's like, well, what's the future hold for Bailey? And Bailey's like, everyone wants to know. Ever since I started training 9 years ago, I wrote down that I want to be the best. My goal's still the same. I want to be the best. I want to have the championship back, whether it's tomorrow, next week. All I know is I want to walk back into WrestleMania as the champion, giving the fans the reality to know that it's possible and they can do it their way. Corey's like, good luck. Bailey's like, hey, before you go, can we end this on a hug? And I'm like, God. What? See, Ashley knows. What have they done to Bailey? She awkwardly hugs Corey, and that's the end of it. So Rhino and Heath Slater come out. Here comes the Miz and Maurice, and of course, the mystery partner ends up being AJ Jinbear. I mean, just fair. Anyway, if you guys in chat are listening to this, hopefully you'll appreciate that reference because AJ Jinbear was on Raw. And that's all I need to say because this happened. This actually happened. Maybe on Wednesday I'll be able to find out who the person was that was under the bear costume. But I don't have it right now because obviously no one cares at this point because it's Raw. So we progress here. And some really horrible attempts of comedy by Michael Cole. He was referencing Smokey and the Bandit, and he called it Smokey and the Bear. Just absolutely horrible. Don't care. At one point, after while this match is going on, The Miz finally attacks the bear on the floor, knocks him into the barricade, runs him in the ring apron a couple of times, unmasks the bear. It's some random guy. Then we have another bear in the ring, and the bear hits the double arm DDT on Heath Slater. And of course, he takes off the mask and it's Ambrose, because of course. Maurice is on the ring apron. Miz gets sent inadvertently into her, knocks her to the floor. Ambrose hits Dirty Deeds, kind of shrugs and pulls Heath Slater on top of the three. Yeah, this happened. We get Neville Man against Rich Swann. Rich Swann got made to look like a total bitch in this match. Neville just destroyed him, stretched him with the Rings of Saturn, with Swann's own jacket. And Neville's like, I beat everyone. Aries, TJP, and now Richard Swann. I haven't heard that name for a while. And he says, how many pretenders do I have to go through until I get the respect I deserve? And then he brings up Tozawa and Titus O'Neil for that point. He says, you need to tread carefully unless you want me to force you to bend at the knee and bow to your king. Neville's great. Tozawa is the end game apparently now, which I have no issues with, especially because we called this on here months ago, so that's good. Sheamus and Cesaro in the back. They're going to make the Hardys retire tonight. That's all that really needs said. Still come off looking like the Boondock Saints. Good Brothers versus Enzo and Cass. Don't care, like, at all. So Cass works over Anderson. He's kind of staggering around, hits side slam. Empire elbow, kind of sells, stumbling again. Enzo tags in, and Anderson cuts him off. Cass is finally down and out on the floor. Enzo, he eats a super kick. Magic Killer 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this match sucked. Speaking of sucked, here comes the Big Show to make the save. Cass does not approve of this new partnership and sooner reveal the truth. Speaking of truth, R-Truth responds to Goldust. Enzo thanks Big Show. And then he says, are you the one who took out Cass? Big Show's like, you know what? Cass is soft. SAWFT, of course. We get Samoa Joe in the back of Mike Rome because Mike Rome makes everything better. Shout out. He says, I sent a message to Brock, and Joe basically proved why he belongs in this position. So we are 8 minutes before the top of the hour, and we get the main event. Raw tag titles on the line, Sheamus and Cesaro versus the Hardys. So Brogue Kick missed right at the bell. Cesaro gets tossed to the outside. Matt gets pulled out by Cesaro. Jeff goes for a float over, gets caught with a Brogue Kick, and 1, 2, 3. Come back to commercial break. We got Sheamus going for the cloverleaf, gets knocked to the outside. Hot tag Matt in. Cesaro gets tagged in. Matt runs wild on Cesaro. Tornado DDT 1, 2, and a kick out. Side effect on the ring apron on Sheamus. Hits Twist of Fate on Cesaro and ties it up at 2. So Cesaro gets caught with a Twist of Fate, but it gets countered. Takes Matt out with the Swiss uppercut. Sheamus tags in, running knee, 1, 2, kick out. So Gotch style neutralizer Matt escapes from, but he ends up getting caught in the sharpshooter. Small package by Matt for a near fall. Hot tag Jeff works over Sheamus. Twist of Fate, Cesaro saves. Cesaro dumped to the outside, so they're brawling. Cesaro hits the Swiss uppercut on Jeff on the outside, which of course allows Sheamus to cradle him for a near fall. Matt and Cesaro battling on the floor. Cesaro takes him out. And in ring, Jeff hits a swanton on Sheamus. Cesaro pulls him out right at 3. Good timing there with the referee. Cesaro gets wiped out on the outside with the dive. They brawl, and the referee calls for the finish because it is a double count out. So yeah, Jeff dives on Sheamus on the outside, and that's how we end. My God, this show sucked. Ashley's probably proof right now the show sucked because he slept more than me when it comes to the show tonight.
Well, no, not really. It was more PlayStation, really. But you know, I didn't expect there to be a lot happening anyway.
Right.
Because it's going up against Game 5 of the NBA. They realise the audience isn't going to be there, so they put on basically a filler show. Keep in mind, in theory, they've got nothing now. Probably up until, August, September, when the season of foot starts again.
Probably.
And I actually mean foot, not soccer.
If you want to check out the show, my advice is no.
Well,
Even
the opening match and the opening segment with Brock and Joe.
I was getting to that, and that's it.
Yeah, for the first, 35, 40 minutes?
Yeah, and I will say right now that Hardy's and Sheamus and Cesaro, it only went 14 minutes, but it was going fine until the finish.
It's brilliant we're complaining about 8 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever, when we sat through 60.
Yeah, we'll 100% talk about that on Wednesday, and I'm sure I will be a lot more enthusiastic, without question, about that.
Defo.
So, yeah, I mean, as much as I hate to say it, that's our show. There's literally nothing else to talk about with Raw. We've got Money in the Bank on Sunday, which still doesn't have a full card. We'll probably find out more tomorrow. I mean, I'm looking at the show right now. There's some things that are very interesting. There's some things I don't care about. But then again, that's always how it's going to be, apparently. Like, I'm really intrigued about the Money in the Bank ladder match, what they're going to do. I mean, and then I think that might be about it, because when it comes to wrestling, that's probably about it. Naomi and Lana is not going to be a great wrestling match, but I honestly think they're going to give Lana the title and put Naomi in the match. That's the reason why there's only 5 women in the match. Naomi is getting is losing at the beginning of the night and getting put in the Money in the Bank at the very end. That's my prediction. I mean, we have. I don't have extreme hopes for the women's ladder match, to be honest. I mean, Carmella and Tamina should not be anywhere near this match. Like most of the women involved don't really have much ladder match experience, if at all. So it's a recipe for disaster. Usos and New Day, been there, done that. The matches are always good, but I mean, I don't care about storyline. And I give less than a care about Jinder and Randy because I know they're just going to have Jinder retain. And I don't care at all. Like give me the Fashion Police and the colognes. I'm down with that. Like you said, it'll probably be on the pre-show, and I can't even watch the pre-show because I got to work. But yeah, these co-branded the co-branded pay-per-views are fine. These single brand pay-per-views, they got to go. There is way too many pay-per-views, and they really need to start cutting some of them. Welcome Acer, he says, this week's edition of Raw was definitely questionable at best. Opening segment, main event feature title match for the finish, saved the show. I wouldn't say save the show at all. I would say it was tolerable amongst a pile of garbage. There was nothing redeeming about this show except for the opening and closing segments. And yeah, Ambrose and Samson was real good. I enjoyed it a lot. But Ashley is tapped out on E3 goodness. And there's really nothing else to talk about. So do yourself a favor and find a way, no matter what it takes. It doesn't matter when, but New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion, just watch the show. Seriously. That's all I say to you right now. I'm not saying what to watch. Just watch the whole show. Seriously. It is worth every second. And everything on that show blows away almost anything I've seen in the WWE in the last several months. Save stuff, obviously, in the UK shows. Takeover. Other than that, yeah. This is a phenomenal show. You need to watch it. And we're going to talk about it in depth on Wednesday night. So yeah, just wipe your mind from this show for the most part. I really hope that they decide to at least make it not a one and done with Brock and Joe, because I think it has legs. I think if booked properly, Brock and Joe could be a main event feud for a while. Who cares about Braun Strowman? Who cares about Roman? Honestly, Joe and Brock is the match. That should be what we're building towards. I know it's not. I get that, but I'm going to be very happy to see this match. It has to happen at the worst named pay-per-view in the history of ever. But still, I'm looking forward to it. Very much so. Raw has a lot of missteps, but Raw has a lot more advantages in some ways than SmackDown does, and vice versa. Like usually, if these single brand pay-per-views are going to continue, let them run 2 hours. You don't need 3 hours. 2.5 is even pushing it. Seriously, just 2 hours. 2 hours for the single brand pay-per-views, unless it's something major, and go at the most maybe 3.5 hours for like SummerSlam, Survivor Series, the Royal Rumble. And you can give WrestleMania 4 hours, but just seriously, just stop taking so much time on filler. It's a sad state of affairs. And if Ashley was awake right now, he would say the exact same thing. So I think by the sound of the snore, that means that's our show. Over a lot earlier than I'd like it to be. Gaming with Ash will be continuing the E3 coverage here on the Popcast Network throughout the remainder of this week. We're going to be getting more videos. The Bethesda video is going to be coming up in about 2 minutes as of this moment here on the East Coast. And follow Ashley on Twitter at AshIsMyNameUK. On top of that, check out Ashley's Elite Force podcast with Walkie and Mind Wipe on the SNS Radio Network, SNSRadioNetwork.com. And a lot of great coverage coming up very soon. We still have Sip and Snacks from Ashley coming in the near future. Don't know exactly when those are going to be coming out, but we'll have those very soon. Back here on Wednesday night for the Wednesday Wrestling Popcast, we're going to talk to Minion. So super excited to be able to talk to Minion. Just like we talked Wrestle Kingdom last time, this is going to be a fun show. Also on the docket, SmackDown 205 Live, NXT, Ring of Honor, as well as Lucha Underground, UFC, Impact, the Indies, other things going on in Japan and the UK. CZW obviously just had the Tournament of Death, so we're going to talk about that. And so much more. Also, what culture, pro wrestling, and everything under the sun. So that's going to be your show on Wednesday starting at 9 p.m. Sip and Snack returns on Thursday, continuing our soda-themed month. That's going to end with something at the end of this month. This is going to build into July 4th. You know exactly what I mean if you've been paying attention. And that's going to be continuing. AJ retakes the network once more Friday, back with the newest episode of Fargo. We're almost at the end of the Fargo season. And then we'll have to see what we're going to be doing for our Friday shows. But then we're going to have AJ's movie reviews returned on Saturday, with It Comes at Night. And on Sunday, we got a brand new edition of Versus. So that's going to be your show. Follow the network on Twitter at Popcast Network. Check out our Facebook fan page at Popcast Network, or search for it randomly at Suro and Disney and Popcast Network. Follow me on Twitter at Suro and Disney. We have Zazzle merch and a Patreon, both available at Popcast Network. And big shout out to Acer for joining us in chat tonight. Acer5000 on YouTube and at Acer1337. Yes, in a row for all the podcasts you should be listening to, wrestling and or otherwise. So that's going to be our show, and I'm going to go ahead and get off here, and I'm going to get some sleep because I actually have to work. I have to work in about 6 hours. So in the meantime, in a world with a Rebellion Wrestling Podcast, we're very pleased that once more this evening you have chosen a Popcast. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thanks, everyone, for listening. While you're at it, do yourself a favor. Go watch Dominion. I don't care how you see it, New Japan World, any other means necessary, go watch it. It's one of the best shows of the year so far, and it gets so much better. And in the meantime, until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.